There's this tune, maybe you know it. It's by Bach. It's the Brandenburg Concerto No. 3 in G major. And it goes something like this. Da da dum 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 da 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 dum da 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 dum da 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 dum da 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 dum dum dum. That's like the first section. So this cat comes in, he's going to play. Only he's from the south side like me, and so he just sees the chart and takes a quick look, and he naturally plays it like this. Ba-da-dum, 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 bum, ba-da-da-da-da-da-da-da, ba-da-da-ba-do-ya-da, ba-da-da-ba-do-ya-dum, ba-ba-da-ba-do-da, ba-ba-da-da-da-ba-do-ya-bum-do-da. So here's the thing. You can play classical. Nothing wrong with classical. Classical is great, man. Or you can play jazz. You can swing it. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's great. But you got to know which one you're doing at the time. Because the twain don't meet. In fact, the twain don't even come to this station. All right? I mean, you have to know what you're doing. All right? Are you playing classical? Are you playing jazz? The reason I bring this up is because you have to know whether you're talking about playing or you're talking about fighting. Those are two different things. And the requirements of being an effective fighter are not necessarily the same as the requirements of being an effective player. Right? So if you look at fencing as a pastime, as a sport, as fun, right? Then that informs your perspective. You're going to see things in a certain way and judge things in a certain way. Your goals are different, you know, all that stuff. And if you look at fencing as fighting, that's going to inform your perspective. Your goals are quite different from the cat who's into playing. You know, if you're into playing, then you're about beating some other guy, winning a trophy, looking good, you know, picking up chicks, whatever your scene is. But it's about extrinsic rewards, right? If you're fighting, it's all intrinsic rewards. It's about being alive at the end of the fight. Two little different things. So what happens is, people who are into playing look at something said by someone who's all about fighting, and they judge it by the wrong standard. They judge it by their perspectives of playing and so on, what's good like that, without taking into account that their purposes are completely different. And vice versa. You know, someone who's into fighting looks at, you know, fencing and says, oh, that's stupid, because it is, but also because it's not fighting, right? So this is very important. It's very important. What we do is fighting. And so that's our perspective. If your perspective is playing, then you may not quite understand the point of what it is we're talking about. And one of the things is, that always comes up is fun. Now, ask cats who know me. I'm all about fun. I'm a big fan of fun. I'm a fun fan. But I've never been in a fight that was fun. I've never heard of one that was fun. I've never talked to anybody who was ever in a fight that was fun. My dad made his way through Europe in World War II, and it wasn't a lot of fucking laughs. So, what is fun? I think fun is about the extrinsic reward, you know? It's a lot about how other people perceive you. It's all external. It's about trophies or trinkets or accolades or congratulations, all stuff on the outside of you. I submit that fighting is not fun because it's all intrinsic It doesn't have anything to do with medals or trophies or all that stuff. The process is not fun. It may be satisfying. You know, people sometimes conflate the terms fun and satisfaction. I've had some brutal workouts working out with pals who are boxers, and I'll tell you right now, it was not fun. It was not fun, but it was very satisfying because I made it through the night without crying, you know, or passing out, or saying I'll be right back, I'm going for coffee, and then disappear. To tough it out, because that's internal, right? How strong are you? Can you persevere? Do you have the endurance? Do you have the discipline? Do you have that strength? And if the answer is yes, that's not fun, but it's very satisfying. So it depends on what your perspective is. And that's going to determine how you feel about some of the things, or what you think about some of the things that people say. And the two don't always match up. Look, I have fenced in lots of fencing matches. You know, they weren't serious. They were fun. They were playing. Now, we tried to play in accordance with certain rules that simulated a certain reality, but nobody's blood was on the line in these little fencing tournaments. You know, it was not serious. And some of them were fun, and some of them were not fun. But here's the thing: there were times when I won, but I didn't really fence very well. I just won because everybody else was worse than I was. And I knew in my heart I didn't fence very well. That was neither fun nor satisfying. And on the flip side of that, I have played in contests where I got my ass kicked, but I fenced really well. And I was just in with somebody who was a whole level higher than I was. And just, trying to hold my own against them, And so getting my ass kicked. But at the end of that, I mean, it wasn't fun, but it was very satisfying, even though it wasn't fun, even though I didn't win anything. Or you see where I'm going with this? That there's nothing wrong with playing. There's nothing wrong with recreation. There's nothing wrong with, whatever, all right? But don't confuse that with more serious topics. We're about the realities of fighting and what that has to teach you so that you can lead a life that is better, that you can live more adequately and appropriately in every moment, no matter what happens. That's our goal and objective. And so specific to that, we treat the sword very seriously, as if the only time we're going to use that sucker, somebody's going to die. Either us or somebody else, or both. That's a serious thing. There are no fun fights. Anyway, just know which one you're doing. Are you about playing, or are you about fighting? And understand those differences in perspective.